Hello YouTubers, this is Cessnaace. Received a package in the mail today and it goes rather nicely with one that I'd already received a few days ago and have been holding aside. Both of these packages came from IDW Publishing. That's Idea and Design Works. Now, if you remember back to a previous video, I showed Speed Racer from IDW. I was able to find Volume 1 at full price, and then I found Volumes 3 and 4 in the discount area at Barnes & Noble, but I could not find Volume 2 anywhere, so I went direct to the publisher and ordered it there. I'll stick the link to IDW down there. This reprints several consecutive issues of the Now Comics run of Speed Racer. This picks up right where Volume 1 left off with Speed Racer number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Okay, now for those of you who are into such things, Star Trek has been published in comic book form or sequential art form for decades. The first company that had the rights to do so was Western Publishing, which printed comics based on Star Trek using their Gold Key imprint. That began in the late 60s, mid-60s. Shortly after the series debuted on network television, they started publishing comic books based on Star Trek. And there have been many publishers since who have had the rights. Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Malibu Comics, and more recently, Tokyo Pop, Star Trek the manga. There are 3 volumes that they released, and 1 for Star Trek The Next Generation, which I have up on the shelf. What's interesting about these, each story, there's 5 stories in each volume. Each one was written by a different writer, and art was done by different artists. So the characters look different depending on which story you're reading. Okay, well, after Tokyo Pop lost the rights, in came IDW. First up, we have Star Trek. They call this the Motion Picture Trilogy. This is an original adaptation published by IDW, originally in comic book form. This gathers all of the issues, all 3, and combines them into one omnibus. And according to the thing on the front, interior page, this includes all new coloring of the art. Can't remember if I mentioned it, but this covers Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Next up here, we have Star Trek Omnibus Volume 1. This covers the Marvel line of Star Trek comics, the original Marvel line, because after they had the rights, DC had the rights, and then the rights after that went to Marvel again. The first time around, they only had the right to use as the basis of their stories events and characters that appeared in Star Trek the Motion Picture. They were not allowed to use any characters or plots or stories from the original series. So that's fairly limited what they could do. IDW publishes a volume that predates this one, and what it does is it reprints issues 1, 2, and 3 of the Marvel line that adapts Star Trek the Motion Picture. This begins with issue 4, which is the first non-Star Trek the Motion Picture content that Marvel published at the time. Notice they're wearing uniforms that were used in Star Trek the Motion Picture. They kept that continuity going. Pretty cool. And this company, IDW, publishes material based on, in addition to Star Trek, Doctor Who, the Archies, which is kind of strange because Archie Comics is still around, as well as Angel. I believe 24 is in there. Trying to think if Twilight was, but a whole bunch of stuff. CSI Miami. They have the sequential art rights to quite a number of properties. So it's really cool. And they have a series of comics, or omnibuses I should say, that collects series that have long been abandoned. And so you get to see what 40 or 50 or 60 or 70-year-old comics look like, all gathered together and printed the way IDW prints everything, which is on high quality semi-gloss paper. You might be asking how much these were, if I didn't already say. This was $25, and this is $25. Really, really cool stuff. And don't tell anyone, but I've got a lot more stuff like this coming. Until next time, stay awesome.